The Harley-Davidson Sportster, launched in 1957, became one of the longest-running nameplates in the company's history, dominated American flat-track racing for decades, powered an entire second motorcycle brand, and was discontinued in 2022 before being announced for a comeback in 2027. Most riders know the bike. Almost none of them know the 10 facts that follow. Number 10. The Sportster, launched in 1957 as the Harley-Davidson XL. Harley built it to answer the lightweight, fast British twins, the Triumph Bonneville and the BSA models, that were taking sales from American manufacturers through the 1950s. The first XL used a 55 cubic inch, 883 cubic centimeter overhead valve V-twin that produced around 40 horsepower, replacing the side valve flathead engine of the earlier KH model. The new bike kept much of the KH, including the frame, the fenders, and the front suspension, but the overhead valve head was the major change. It gave the bike a performance reputation that the Sportster name would carry for the next 65 years, and it made the XL one of the closest things to a superbike that existed before the word superbike was invented. In its first year, only 1,983 were built, at a price of just over $1,100. Number 9. In 1958, Harley introduced a hotter version called the XLCH. The CH is widely understood to stand for competition hot. It had higher compression, larger valves, a magneto ignition, and a stripped-down look, and it was originally set up as an off-road bike sold with no lights at all. The XLCH also introduced the single most recognizable part on any Sportster, the peanut tank. That 2.2-gallon fuel tank was borrowed from Harley's Racing K models, where a small tank kept weight down and fuel close to the engine. On the XLCH, it became a styling signature rather than a race part. The stripped-down XLCH became the visual template for nearly every Sportster bobber built since, and that tank shape defined the Sportster silhouette for the next 65 years, even though a full peanut tank gives the bike a range of less than 100 miles. Harley itself only ever calls it the peanut tank in lowercase, acknowledging it as a street name rather than an official one. Number 8. In 1986, Harley replaced the original cast-iron ironhead engine with the aluminum Evolution engine, known to riders simply as the Evo. The Sportster Evolution came in 883 cubic centimeter and 1,200 cubic centimeter versions. It is a different engine from the big twin Evolution that Harley had released 2 years earlier. They share a name and the move from iron to aluminum, but the internal architecture is not the same. The Sportster Evo then stayed in production from 1986 all the way through 2022. That is 37 years of continuous production, one of the longest production runs of any motorcycle engine in history. Part of the reason it lasted so long is that it was simple, cheap to modify, and almost endlessly customizable. An entire aftermarket grew up around it, and few Evo Sportsters on the road today look quite like any other. Number 7. The Sportster engine became the basis for the most successful race bike in American history. In 1970, Harley built the XR750 flat track racer using a destroked Sportster engine, after a rule change set a single 750 cubic centimeter displacement limit for the sport. The first version used iron cylinder heads that overheated so badly that racers nicknamed it the waffle iron. In 1972, Harley switched to all aluminum heads and barrels, and the bike became almost unbeatable. In race trim, the 750 cubic centimeter, 45-degree V-twin made roughly 90 horsepower. Between 1972 and 2008, the XR750 won 28 of 37 American Motorcyclist Association Grand National Championships. Riders including Cal Rayborn, Jay Springsteen, Scott Parker, and Chris Carr took titles on it. Harley calls it the most successful race bike of all time, and it racked up more wins than any other motorcycle in AMA history. Number 6. The XR750 became just as famous off the track. Stuntman Evel Knievel used the XR750 as his primary jump bike during the height of his career, from 1970 to 1976. He did not race them. He jumped them over rows of buses, fountains, and canyons in front of television audiences in the tens of millions. The combination of flat track dominance and Knievel's televised jumps made the XR750 arguably the most photographed motorcycle of the 1970s, and every one of those bikes ran on a Sportster-derived engine. Hit subscribe. The peanut tank holds less than 2.2 gallons. This channel holds slightly more content than that. Number 5. The Sportster engine also powered an entire second motorcycle company. In 1983, a former Harley engineer named Eric Buell founded the Buell Motorcycle Company. Almost every street Buell used a modified Sportster engine, tuned for far more power and dropped into a lightweight sport bike chassis with an unconventional rubber mounting system Buell patented. The first Buell street bike, the RR1000, used leftover XR1000 racing engines. Buell pulled as much as 100 horsepower from an engine that made around 60 in the stock Sportster. Harley bought 49% of Buell in 1993, took majority control in 1998, and made it a wholly owned subsidiary by 2003. Harley shut the Buell brand down on October 15, 2009. By the time the last one rolled off the line that month, Buell had built 136,923 motorcycles, most of them powered by a Sportster heart. Number 4. In 2010, Harley brought the original peanut tank back as the centerpiece of a new model. The XL 1200X48 used the 2.1-gallon peanut tank, sitting on a fat front tire and a blacked-out, stripped-down chassis. It was the closest thing to a factory-built bobber that Harley ever sold straight off the showroom floor. The small tank meant a real-world range of only 70 to 90 miles, but the proportions were the entire point. The 48 and its blacked-out stablemate, the Iron 883, became the gateway Sportsters for an entire generation of new Harley riders, with the Iron 883 selling for under $9,000 when new. Both stayed in the lineup until 2022, when they were discontinued along with the rest of the Evolution Sportsters. Number 3. In 2022, Harley ended production of the air-cooled Evolution Sportster after 37 years. The final two models, the Iron 883 and the 48, rolled off the line that year. The reason was emissions. The Evolution engine could not be updated economically to meet the stricter Euro 5 standards in Europe, where the Sportster had already been pulled from sale in 2020. For the first time since 1957, the traditional air-cooled Sportster was gone from the Harley lineup. So many had been built over the decades that they did not disappear from the road. They simply moved to the used market, where clean, low-mileage examples started climbing in value almost immediately, and where demand for a used iron 883 stayed high enough that Harley would later cite it directly. Number 2, in 2021, Harley launched the Sportster S, the first all-new Sportster engine since 1986. It used the liquid-cooled Revolution Max 1250T engine, producing around 121 horsepower, far more than any air-cooled Sportster ever made. In 2022, a second Revolution Max model called the Nightster joined the family with a smaller 975 cubic centimeter version of the engine. There was a deeper milestone hidden in that powertrain. Every Sportster engine built from 1957 to 2022, both the Ironhead and the Evolution, traced its basic architecture back to the 1952 Model K. The Revolution Max was the first Sportster engine in nearly 70 years that was not derived from the Model K. The new bikes kept the name but broke the bloodline. Number 1, in May 2026, Harley-Davidson announced that the AR-cooled Sportster is coming back. Speaking at the company's first quarter earnings call, Chief Executive Artie Starrs unveiled a business plan called Back to the Bricks, and confirmed that a traditional air-cooled Sportster will return for the 2027 model year, 5 years after it was discontinued. The returning bike will use an 883 cubic centimeter air-cooled engine, the same displacement as the original 1957 XL, and target a price around $10,000. Starrs said the Sportster was the single most requested motorcycle from Harley riders and dealers worldwide, naming dealerships from Louisville to Frankfurt to Shanghai. The bike that launched the Sportster name in 1957 and the air-cooled engine that carried it for 65 years is being brought back almost exactly as it left.